Well, if you look at our environments that we operate in, they've changed hugely, and that's really driven the change in sort of threat visibility, detection, response, but also threat and exposure management. And if we start thinking about threat and exposure management, how that's changed hugely to be able to identify those threats, gain visibility of the threats that we're facing, then we've gone from a position where we had a traditional vulnerability management that would effectively be appliance-based network scanning, that would do periodic scans, and get huge vulnerability lists that weren't really prioritized. And if we contrast to how our environments have changed, where we're now not sitting just purely on-prem, we are in the cloud. We have our public cloud that we need to be concerned about, our SaaS applications that we need to be concerned about. Our users now are not in that office inside that perimeter that we previously scanned. They're all working from home, remotely, or wherever they are. Then we've had to, the trend really is to evolve our threat exposure management practices and processes to match that. So we look from a technology point of view, we're evolving that traditional vulnerability management process to be, not periodic monthly scans that are delaying our ability to respond to the threats, but moving to real-time agent-based, making sure that we're covering the assets wherever they are, whenever they are. But if we look at the other side of it, then we look at our cloud environments. That doesn't really have the coverage that we need. So it's then, how do we plug that gap? How do we start looking at our cloud security posture? I think Gartner talk about by the end of 2025, we'll have 99% of all cloud breaches related to a misconfiguration. So how do we understand that risk, that vulnerability that we have from a configuration point of view? So are we looking at posture management solutions to be able to cover that? Are we looking at how we're dealing with infrastructure as code? If all of our infrastructure is code, how are we scanning those code repositories and looking for the threats that exist there? And that's really the new landscape and what we need to start addressing. If we flip that over to thinking about detection and response, so moving away from exposure management, think about how we're detecting response. We actually have all the same challenges in terms of the huge change to our environments. And we need to make sure that we're keeping up that momentum and keeping up our rate of change in our security processes that are matching those changes in infrastructure and operations that we're delivering, to make sure that we have coverage of our cloud environments, our users, our identities, and our endpoints, wherever they may be. Integrity360's differentiators, I'd class our people as a huge differentiator for us. We have a large workforce, but importantly, highly skilled, talented individuals that really have a passion for cybersecurity. And what that really does is it drives the effectiveness of our services that we deliver into our customers, making sure that we have the processes, the technology, and that capability to not only just identify threats that are present in our customer environments, but be able to rapidly respond to those so that we can limit the impact of any particular threat that they're facing. And really all of that drives towards partnership, which I'd say is our key differentiator. We strive to deliver an intimate service with our customers, really building that security partnership so that we're engaged, take them on their security journey, to make sure that we're constantly evolving and enhancing their security posture and making sure that they're ready for the threats that they're going to face today and tomorrow. Some of the challenges with achieving complete visibility within your environment, particularly from a detection and response position, is really the breadth and width of our environments and how they've changed. We've gone to a point where we've expanded well into the cloud, into public cloud, into SaaS-based applications, but our traditional on-prem hasn't gone away. Our traditional user base and infrastructure hasn't disappeared. So we have a wide portfolio of infrastructure and applications that we need to secure. And it's making sure that we've got the right controls in place. It's making sure that we have the tools, the capability to cover our endpoints, to cover our network, to cover our user identities, our cloud environments, both the activity within the cloud, but also our cloud control planes. As much as possible. And the other challenge is, once we've got all of those capabilities in place, and particularly where they could be from multiple tools and multiple vendors, is how do we pull all that information together so that we have a very concise, a very rich portfolio of data that analysts can work through, so that we can make sure that we're not missing threats. There's nothing worse than investing in technologies and then not getting the very best out of them. How do we pull that holistic view across all the environments together to make sure that we're getting the very best out of those tools?